It's Sunday Fun Day in San Diego with Clayton Kershaw. Thanks a lot for the time. Appreciate it.
Sure. He said I didn't have much of a choice, so here I am.
So is your bandana a hint at your costume? Are you going as Bret Michaels, a rock band legend?
I'm not, no.
I don't think I remember any of your travel day costumes. Do you?
It's a good question. Oh, I did Zoolander one time. We had a group of three. We had Mugatu and Zoolander and Hansel. That was a good one. That might have been my last one. And then I can't. That's the only other time I can't remember. Yeah.
Do you have something up your sleeve today?
Yeah, it's not super creative, but it's really high quality.
Okay. Teamed up with somebody or solo?
Yeah, me and TA.
Okay, I like that. Two lefties. He's one of those pitchers in the dugout that I see gravitate towards you. And the other night, we saw you talk to Dustin May. I'm not going to say you're old, but you're experienced and have been through a lot. What's that role like for you these days?
I think as a young guy coming up, what helped me the most was kind of like a hands-off approach, and I didn't necessarily get a lot of hey, here's what you need to do, but I think that was a good thing. And so that's what I try to kind of do. I don't tell anybody what they should and shouldn't do, but here and there's a few things, whether it be pitch selection or reading different hitters' swings or different things like that I try and give them. Sometimes guys are like, oh, that's great, thanks, and other people blow it off and, whatever, it's great. But, there are certain things at times where I try to help with. And, the other night with D-May, there was just some things on the field that I was like, hey, here's some things I think might have helped in those situations. And, he did a great job getting out of a lot of jams, but he put himself in some jams too. So there are some things that he could get better at, but overall, he got out of big situations, which is great.
You've told me repeatedly, with a right-handed pitcher, there's not a lot you can do, but are you trying to harness the emotions?
I don't think you need to when it's going good. If you're an emotional guy on the mound, I think that's great. If things are going great, I think at times when things aren't going great, people kind of feed off your energy out there, whether it be good or bad. So for myself personally, I just try, when something bad happens, try to act like you're the same guy. And some people handle it differently. But, I think for me, that's kind of what I do. Try to stay level when it's negative, and then when things are going great, do whatever you want. It's great.
I've been anxious to talk to you about the rules changes that were announced a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
What sticks out to you the most? How do you feel about these drastic changes?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what the politically correct thing to say is. Did you see Richie out there doing his big base thing?
Great.
I think it's funny, man. I don't know. I love the game. I don't think, if they want to speed up the game, that's great. But if it affects the way I pitch, I don't like it. I've pitched the same way for a long time. I'm somewhat, average or quick at times, but out of the stretch, I go kind of high out of the stretch. And if there's guys on base in big situations, I need to step off, I'm going to step off, so all that stuff is not great. I mean, the players didn't agree to it, right? We all voted against it, and the MLB did it anyway. So I don't really know. I guess we'll see. Everybody's going to have to deal with it the same, which I guess is the only positive. The shift thing is funny to me too. It's great. We're gonna reward guys for not figuring it out, basically. And hitting's really hard. I understand that. People are complaining about, oh, that should be a hit, and I get that. I understand that, but it's not. So, and teams are better at it than others. We do a really great job with our shifts. Some teams are really old school and don't shift, and so we get to take advantage of that. There's a competitive advantage with that, so we're taking that away from teams too. So I guess I'm not a big proponent of most of them, but at the end of the day, whatever. If I pitch next year, I'll have to deal with it.
Clayton, is it more about, if you want to change the game, there's got to be a philosophical change, not the rules changing?
Say that again.
A philosophical approach to the game, meaning maybe not rushing pitchers through the minor leagues where they can't throw strikes, and rewarding players compensation-wise in a different way.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. I think our front offices are really smart guys, and they found out what wins baseball games. And to them, what wins baseball games, batting average doesn't necessarily matter, striking out doesn't necessarily matter. And hitting singles isn't really that big of a deal. A single and a walk are the same thing. So if you can find a guy that hits a lot of homers, walks a lot, but happens to strike out, that's a better player than the guy that maybe hits 280 with a bunch of singles and not a lot of slugs. So we reward those guys, and that's the way it is. Until the front offices starts paying those guys the same way they pay the guys that hits home runs, guys are going to try to hit home runs, and that's just the nature of the business. But at the same time, I do feel like this year there has been a little bit more change as far as guys trying to change their approach a little bit. And maybe that's because the balls are different and not as many home runs are going out. But I do feel like this year there's not quite as many strikeouts and there's a few more balls put in play. And maybe that's a proponent of the dead balls. I don't know. But I do feel like this year at least there's a little bit of a trend towards like making contact, putting the ball in play a little bit more.
I feel like you lead by example. Freddie Freeman leads by example. It's refreshing to see a player that you're describing on the team that cares about batting average, cares about hits, and cares about the moment in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Freddie's unbelievable, but it's hard to compare Freddie to like the average MLB player, right? Freddie's elite. Freddie's one of the top 3 or 4 hitters in the game. So we're not trying to – Freddie's not going to change. Freddie's going to do what he's done. He's been super successful. We're talking about the guys that have changed their approach based on what they think will help them make money in this game. So Freddie doesn't need to change. He's an unbelievable player, whether they shift him, don't shift him, whether he hits homers. Like, he's going to hit 320 and OPS 900, and anybody would want that. We're trying to figure out a way to the average baseball player, the guy that is like a solid everyday big leaguer, but that might not be an all-star, how to help them. And I do understand that side of it.
That makes sense. Before I let you go, you guys are very close to clinching the NL West again. At this stage of your career, how do you feel about this and the consistency of winning that you've been part of?
You know, I was talking to Ellen about that today, actually, as she was dropping me off. She's like, how many, like, you guys are dressing up today, and then you guys might clinch and shower yourself with champagne bottles. Like, there's just not that many jobs like that. And I was like, no, you're right. It's awesome. And you get to be a kid. You know, you get to come play baseball. You get to do all that stuff. And then the winning side of it, for me, is what makes it so great. So for us to, you know, get to celebrate another division title whenever that was, you know, next few days, whenever that is going to be, it's going to be the best. And I'd say it every year, but it might be my last one. So you just got to enjoy it. You know, you just don't know. And it could be somebody's first one on our team this year, too. So you should try to make it as special as you can. It doesn't take away from the bigger picture and what we're trying to do, but you're allowed to celebrate when you do something great as a team, and we're going to do that for sure.
Well, thanks a lot for the time. Enjoy your Sunday, and hopefully that magic number goes down a little bit more today.
How's your wrist?
It's solid. Got a little mobility there.
Way to go. And ribs?
Ribs are a little sore in the morning, Kirsch.
All right. Good talk, Dave. Heal up.
All right. Thanks.